Everyone wants to boil the ocean, but nobody wants to collect the firewood and start a fire. For too long, decades, literally, I've worked with CRMs and different types of tools, databases, marketing automation systems, used them exclusively since about '07. Got certified in several platforms starting 2008, wrote a book on this stuff. So I know what I'm talking about. And I see people with these big, hairy, audacious goals, their vision boards, okay, they're manifesting, but they don't want to do the little grunt work that's required to reach those goals. And so sticking with technology for right now, I see, it came up today on my inner circle call, and a member, she's become a friend. I've known her for a decade. She's been in the inner circle for 7 years. She bought a tool that I recommended a year ago, and very simple, very affordable, has a little bit of automation, and they're coming out with more, but I recommended it to her did I say recommended it? But recommended it to her to start to wrap her arms around her processes, leads that are falling off the table. She's in a very great position. She's getting more leads than she can handle, and they're referrals. But still, it's money falling off the table. And as we were talking today, she says, yeah, I probably need to switch to HubSpot. And I'm like, no, not necessarily. Since 2008, I've been, like I said, working with these kind of tools in a focused manner, started in '07. And probably 90% of the time when somebody comes to me and says, I want to buy a certain tool, Salesforce, HubSpot, Keep, ActiveCampaign, whatever, 90% of the time, I've told them no. Throughout the conversation, the answer was like, I don't think you're ready, right? Or I don't think that's the right tool for you. And especially if 99% of the time, if you have something already, switching is usually not the answer because you're probably not using the tool to its fullest. And so until you are truly pushing the envelope with what you have, look, at the end of December, literally, I think it came through on the 30th, working with some guys through HubSpot. I helped a friend of mine. He's got multiple thriving businesses. He outgrew his Infusionsoft. It's called Keep now, but he had 4 instances plus a service module, and he just outgrew it after many, many years. And I did not call him. He called me and said, hey, I think I need to switch. So over the course of about 5-6 weeks, because we spoke around the 20th of November. So, whatever that math comes out to be, right? 40 plus days. We decided, yes, it is smart to switch. That it is the proper thing to do for you. And we told them, like, this is a 6 to 9 month integration, moving everything over. But, I tell you that because sometimes it is right to move, but it's rare. But so as we were talking, I'm like, what are your processes? What are you doing? Walk me through. She says she's getting referrals, 5 to 7 a day. And she, due to the nature of her business, she expects this to continue for about 9 more months, so the end of the fiscal year. And we did the math on that, and it's at least $1.3 million in commission that she will lose if she doesn't get her arms around this. Now, she's got a staff. It's not like it's going to her bottom line, but it's top line revenue, and due to the nature of the business, it's recurring. Okay, and the renewals are a little bit lower, but still, and then the referrals from that business. So this is big. Over the next decade, this could be $10 million for her. Easy. But she doesn't have $10 million today. She doesn't have $1 million today. She's not going to profit $1 million. So it's not like I could sell her $1 million solution. Okay. So she's coming over Friday. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. And, so we're going to buckle down and look at your processes and figure out how to streamline this. In all these years, so 17 years and counting of selling Keep, going on 11 years selling HubSpot and Entreport. As I sit down with clients or with prospective clients, I ask the question, describe to me your current most tedious workflow, okay, and describe for me like an ideal process in that workflow. And so we go through things, and I write this out on just a Word document, a text editor in Apple. And we just bullet point, boom, boom, boom. Lead comes in, assign an owner, or assign round robin lead, assign an owner, create a task, make call number one, send a confirmation email if it's through a web form and they're expecting something, send that out, make call number one, send email number one from the rep, blah, blah, blah. So I walk me through that. What happens if you're making outbound calls? The lead is assigned, they make the call, they get a voicemail. What happens? So, okay, yeah, they like to send an email, then they like to assign a task to call in a day or two, but maybe the phone will ring or they'll get distracted or another lead will come in or a current client, fire will happen. They got to hop on that fire, put that out. So they don't send the email, they don't assign the task. And so that's why it feels very reactionary in your business. And so what I told my client friends and what I tell everybody is look at whatever you do 2 or 3 times a day or 4 or 5 times a week, document it, have a process for it, and ideally automate it if it makes sense. Okay. So in her case, she has tolerated this for a year, which kind of hurt my feelings because she knows I'm in this space. She knows I can help her streamline this stuff. But it finally got to be a big enough of a pain. She brought it up on the call, on our weekly call. But with every client, I sit there and I'm like, walk me through this. And then I showed them in the tool, as long as it's doable, but usually it is. You just got to think through the system, how to create the triggers. Just like you see people with ChatGPT and AI, it's like you got to have the right prompts. The same thing with all these platforms, these marketing automation platforms. You got to have the right triggers, okay, in the right order to make it work. But I always start with something small. I approach this technology as a salesperson, so I've kind of gravitated towards that, or those types of people have gravitated to me. So I walk through this process of leaving a voicemail, sending an email related to the voicemail, marking that task as complete, right? Make call number one, assigning themselves a task number two, make call number two. Okay. And then going through a list methodically. That takes about 5 minutes for most people because they're inefficient. They're typing messages repeatedly, even though it's the same message. They're kind of winging it and they get distracted. So it takes longer to happen or it does not happen. So when I show them how to complete a 5-minute task in about 10 to 15 seconds at most, and that makes it, nothing's 100%, but this gets us as close to 100% because the human still has to do something. They got to click a couple buttons and humans can mess everything up, but I digress. This will get them 99% completion of a task in seconds instead of minutes. And when I show them that, few things happen. One is they see the potential. They get excited. Okay. Not all of the drudgery, right? But a tedious part of their life they see can now go away. Okay. And now that gives them 2 things. 1, time, and 2, money to make the next step with me, to make an investment in training, in new software or whatever. Okay. Because if they have 5 salespeople, let's say these 5 salespeople make 20 calls a day. Okay, that's 100 calls. And we'll just keep the math simple. Let's say everyone, they get voicemail because you're going to get a lot of voicemails. So those 5 people, 100 So 5 times 20 is 100. Takes them 5 minutes. There's 500 minutes. Okay. And we cut that down to essentially, let's say, call it 5 minutes. So a 95% reduction in their time, a 95% increase in productivity right there. Their salespeople have more time. You got to assume just raw numbers. Their salespeople will be more effective, more touches, more opportunities. Even if they're not very good, they're still closing something. They're going to make more money for the business. They now have time and more money to invest in what I do. And like I said, this is how I start every single sale when I'm dealing with a software solution, opportunity. But regardless, start small. Show your prospects how to get a small, quick victory. Okay, I think it was Mary Kay that always talked about that. What do people, when you're dealing with prospects, what are they telling themselves? What is that talk track? Because we must enter the conversation going on in the mind of the prospect. Robert Collier talked about that. What are they telling themselves? They're like, can I do this? Right? What was it? Can I do this? Is it effective? Will it work? So that's what they're asking themselves. And so figure out a small win. You want to boil the ocean, you got to go collect some sticks. I was in the Air Force. We had to go through survival training when I was at the academy. I was a survival instructor back when they called it SERE. I think they're calling it SERE again. Survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. And we had to make a fire. And it was just coincidental. When I went through it, it was raining. So we had to make a fire in the rain. And yes, it can be done. But you have to gather small sticks and then intermediate sticks and then sticks and then big sticks and then logs, right? And then from the smaller sticks, you shave them into kindling. Now you take that kindling inside of the stick, as long as it's not like totally soaked. You do that, you keep it dry under your poncho, okay? And you can get a spark and you can start feeding it the twigs and then sticks and then branches, and you can build it up even in the rain. But they always told us you have to go collect 3 times more logs and sticks and branches than you think you need, because this fire will go quickly. It will consume the fuel far faster than you'd ever imagine. Okay. But again, if you want to survive, you got to make that happen. Same thing in business. If you want to boil that ocean, if you want to hit your quota, if you want to double quota, triple quota, quadruple it, 10x it, let's say 11x, 10x is overused. You got to get the little stuff. You got to get all these little things right. Okay. Because I say to make any sale, you must make every sale. So get the small things dialed in. If you do it 2 or 3 times a day at least, or 4 or 5 times a week, have a process for it and automate it if you can. Okay. If you need help with that, let me know. It's what I do. It's what I've done my whole sales career, certainly my whole entrepreneurial career. Okay. Thanks for watching. Now go sell something.